Alright, hello Art YouTube. I am back with a video, this time talking about my unfinished comic projects and kind of the process I go through while I'm making those. Obviously, you want to start out with some kind of a story. I'm not the greatest writer, I'll be honest, but I try to flesh out an idea and then I plan out what I want to happen. And then I don't write everything all at once. I kind of just write, I call it events, and then I just write every event that I want to happen in the story, and then I break it down by part, and then I break it down by chapter, and then as I'm working on a chapter, that's when I write that particular script. But I mean, there's always a foundation there. I just don't always write all the details until I get to that part of the story. So I don't have a lot of finished, well, I don't have any finished comics really, except for some 5-page ones from junior high school, but I thought it would be fun just to talk about it. I'm really into getting into that. Once I get done with school, I am so excited to get into drawing full on. And then once I'm done with this challenge too, it's taken the whole month of August to do this sketchbook slam, but I wanted to use that just to kind of really get myself into discipline mode and get used to working to a certain scale. I mean, I want to do 5-10 pages a day. I don't think that's unreasonable. If you can do 20 pages a day for a month, you can do 5 pages a day of comics. So that's kind of my whole purpose in doing that exercise, and just proving to myself that I can finish a book. Excuse me. So let's start. So when I do my comics, like I said, I do the script loosely, and some come easier than others. And then what I do from there is thumbnail sketches, which anybody who's read a comic or looked at comic stuff knows all about thumbnails. And usually I just use a piece of paper and I just fold it into as many boxes as I can get out of it and that I can draw and reasonably see. I'm supposed to wear glasses, so I have to make them somewhat decent size where I can tell what the heck's going on here. This is a short comic I'm working on with some old characters of mine. I've been going back, and I thought I would try something new this time. I was going to draw them small and then draw them in a slightly bigger format. I don't think I'm going to do that, though. It's just going to take too much time. And for me, I can tell what's happening well enough in these panels without having to blow them up even more and draw them again before drawing them again on the final paper. But I'll be honest, I love making thumbnails. It is one of my favorite things, my favorite part of the comic process. And I love to save these, but I don't have a lot anymore. I've lost a lot of things over the last couple of years, but I used to have just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thumbnails, and I just love going back and seeing what it started as and what it turned out to be in the inked final version. Okay, so I start with those. And then for a while there, I was kind of trying to come up with some revolutionary way to plan my pages that would be more eco-friendly, and I had this fantastic idea which really didn't pan out too well, but I was going to use these dry erase markers over this sleeve and just keep a white piece of paper in there, and then I could just clean it off as I go when I'm laying out pages instead of having to waste so many pieces of paper. And you know, really I should do something like that, because I guess you could do the Sharpie fine line and draw on there and then just go back with alcohol after and wipe it off. I could do that for thumbnails. It's actually not a bad idea. But sometimes this smears all around, or it wears so light that you can't tell. Depending how long it'll take you to finish that set of pages, it might fade before you can see it. I've had that happen. I tried it a couple times with school to take notes, and because you know how you always take those first set of notes and it's just almost illegible, and then you want to go back and clean them up a bit or take out what you really need for the exam. Well, I tried to do that with this method, and it just didn't wear well. And as soon as they brush against anything, it just kind of breaks down over time. Alright, let's take these rubber bands off of here. Now these are old. None of these are from recent years. I mean, this is all probably from junior high and high school. Let's see, how can I do this without bumping my camera? Oh gosh, this is the most terrible one. I used to be big into Teen Titans, and thanks to some friends, I stapled this. I didn't realize that. I don't know where the other pages are. There's probably 3 pages here, but look at this horrible artwork. This was with ballpoint pen. This is before I planned anything. I just tried to draw a story. I didn't know nothing about what I was drawing. Well, I guess Robin is gonna marry Starfire. Half the pages are missing, so now here they're on the day of the wedding and they're getting dressed for the wedding, and then I don't know why they did that, because they just wore their regular clothes and they got married in front of Titan Tower. I was probably 12 years old when I made this. I think I was in the 6th grade. It wasn't junior high yet. I don't know. Anyway, the paper's wrinkled. It's not acid free. It's a hot mess. My first official comic, probably the only finished one. Some guy getting beat up. So when I first started drawing anime art, even though I didn't watch anime, go figure, what the heck's that? He was getting ready for a boxing match. I drew every person in the crowd. That's when I got tired of drawing this comic, because I kept drawing every single person in the crowd. And I got so bored of it. His opponent's coming into the arena. I guess he's very frightened. And he's got this huge, looming, death-like figure in front of him. Is this a joke? He's nervously sweating, regretting his life choices, as I am with this comic. And I thought it would be cool. I thought it was so cool making his silhouette Robin. I can't look. He's so afraid. Not a sound is heard as the rope slides from the mysterious man. Again, drawing every single person in the audience. That did not need to be done. To reveal him. His opponent is some little geeky kid. Sorry if that's triggering to anyone. I thought I was a comedian. So then he passed out. He was so frightened, and the ref declares Nerdy Boy the winner. Winner by knockout. And here I was, so proud of myself for finishing this little 6-page comic. And I thought I was going to do so many other 6-page comics with this character. His name was Ryu or something. Not a Street Fighter ripoff, I don't know. So there's that, my first real finished comic. Why are all of these upside down? Really? Okay. There's a lot of stuff here, so. Okay. I used to be big into Resident Evil, and I made up these characters that were stuck in Raccoon City. They were hiding out in a warehouse. What a great place to hide during a zombie breakout. And well, maybe I should read the panels. I'm not a great actor, don't mind me. I just don't understand what's going on. What are those things? How long before they manage to get in? I didn't know about panel layouts too, obviously. No one knows what they are or where they come from. Then she's crying. Then he says, hey, don't cry. It's going to be okay. How do you know? I don't, okay? Just don't cry. It makes me feel bad. God forbid he feel bad when everyone's getting eaten by zombies. It's just so stupid. Oh, shoot. Whatever, you don't care about me. This whole time, all you've thought about is yourself. I do care. What the? Ash! And he gets bit by a zombie. Such epic action. And that's all I drew. Just 2 pages. It escalated so quickly. They were having this tender moment, ruined by a zombie. I thought I was going to make a whole fan comic. I used to write Resident Evil fan fiction too, and I have some fan characters. They're not really in the comic, but I made up my own members of the Stars Bravo team and all that jazz. It was a whole thing. I loved those games. And then I had these original characters that I made up. This is the first time I ever got pen nibs and holders, and that I was inking with dipping it into the ink, and I was so proud of myself, but it looks god-awful. I mean, I didn't know that you're certain ways that you're supposed to move your arm, or anything about line weight and turning the paper. So these papers have so many scratches and indentations in them from the nibs. But anyway, I had these characters that I had made up. Imaru, Willow, Sparrow. Sparrow wasn't even in their story, but apparently in this scene they were all in this story, and they're in her room, and they thought it would be fun to look through her underwear drawer. I don't know why. 7th grade me was thinking about that, but anyway, there. Oh, her name is Sachiko. all my people had really crazy names. I've changed all their names since then, except for hers. She's actually Asian, Japanese, so she got to keep her name. But everyone else, I was like, why do they have these names? They're not even... Anyway, that's a whole other topic. So it happens when you fall into the anime and manga hole. In Sachi's room. Look at this stuff. We're just digging through her dresser. This feels soft. Oh, Willow was blind, so he couldn't feel anything. He pulls out a bra. Haha, look at this, you guys. I wonder what it feels like to wear one. Because every teenage guy wonders what it's like to wear a bra. Yes, you try it on, Obi, because you and I both know that as soon as you do, Sachiko will walk through the door. Yeah, right. Chuckles. I gave her my credit card and told her to go shopping. How did he even have a credit card? They're in freaking high school. Willow, what are you doing? The blind guy has a thong on his head. Trying stuff on? How does it look? Then they're just looking at each other. And they bust out laughing because he's wearing a thong on his head. That underwear may or may not have been based off of real underwear that I had at the time. Oh, Lord. Though this is one of the strangest hats I've ever worn. You think, hey guys, check this out. I'm Sachiko and I think I'm so pretty because I can fit into a bra. Oh, God-san, take a picture with me. And I tried to draw Momo from Peach Girl onto the lamp like she would have all that fangirl stuff. But look at the lamp. The stand doesn't even match up with the top of the shade. It's just so funny to me. This is page 3. So epic. Then creak, the door opens. There's Sachiko. Then she scans like a computer. What's going on here? Scanning. Alert. Like the Terminator or something. System overload when she sees Willow with the thong on his head, but I didn't finish inking that part, apparently. Imaru! She's super angry. Hate to say I told you so. He's sitting there with his jaw agape. To be continued. It was never continued. For good reason. Back to my Teen Titans fandom, I thought I was writing this really long fan fiction and I wanted to draw it out as a comic. It didn't make it that far. Beast Boy trying to get into Robin's room that was passcode protected. And he didn't know what he was doing and he just hit every single button blindly and then access denied. Uh-oh. And then the pin pad breaks open and all these guns and saws come out and almost kill him. Robin jumps out. Ready to fight. I used to draw everybody in heart-shaped boxers, or heart-printed boxers. I don't know why. And then Beast Boy morphed into a little mouse. Great, just a rat. Defense system disabled. Disabling. Then Beast Boy turns back into himself. Ta-da! Look at this epic morphing scene. Dude, what the heck was up with the Robo-Destructo thingy? What the heck was up with you trying to get into my room? I was so proud of this panel for a long time. This was inked with ballpoint pen and Sharpie. It's not like I wanted to see you anyway. For your info, you have a message in. Sheesh. Robin? Always Starfire coming in. You have awakened. Nobody talks like that. She has bunnies and hearts behind her. She's so pleasant and sugary sweet. It appears that the Red X has a message for you. Red X, why didn't you say so sooner? Oh my gosh. And that's the end of the action. Nothing ever happened after that. This was still junior high school. I think I was in seventh grade, maybe 8th grade by that point. Then I came up with my own characters again, and I was really getting into J-Rock at this time, and I thought I was going to write this epic manga about these J-Rock people. And during the day, they were just nerdy, regular little people, and then by night, they would go and perform at these underground clubs. I don't know. It was stupid. But the story started out kind of funny, so I don't know how well you can see it, though, because I never inked any of this stuff. It's just pencils. Her name was Coco. His name was Chance, and the manga was called Chance. And, okay, so she pays for her coffee. I'm missing some pages because it showed her in the cafe first, but Okay, I'll just read it. The money is right here, Aki-chan. Again, cringe. Everybody had these names. I've got to get going now. Alright, sweetie. Oh no, I'm late. See you later. Okay, bye now. Rush, rush. Why did that need a sound effect? They were both in the cafe together. Here's Chance. Here's Coco rushing. Rushing, rushing, rushing. Gonna be late. He's reading the newspaper because people still did that in 2006. But she left her wallet on the table. He puts his paper down. Well, she was cute. Like he could see her over that massive newspaper. Farewell, flustered beauty. Again, no one talks like this. Eh? And he looks. What's this? Perhaps all is not lost. He sees her wallet on the table. And then this is where I'm missing some pages because there's a page here where it shows him running down the street after her and he's like calling after her, and then she gets really freaked out. And she says, what if he's a stalker or something? And she bites her nails and she says, I know. And she reaches into her bottomless pit purse. And then he finally catches up with her and she's so freaked out and panicked that she pulls out this pepper spray and warns him, don't come any closer. I didn't write it, but that's what she says. Oh, here it is. It's backwards. I put the pages backwards. Anyway, this is where he's first chasing after her. Look at these terrible proportions and perspective. She's rushing down the street to work and he's like zooming after her. Then she sees him over her shoulder. Excuse me. And then that's when she digs into the purse and freaks out. And then he's coming closer and he's thinking something that I didn't write. Stay back. She's all panicked. Doesn't want him to come any closer to her. Then she sprays the pepper spray, which looks oddly like spray paint. And it's in his eyes, and he's freaking out. Oh, my eyes! Ow, ow, ow! And then he's yelling at her, what the heck did you do that for? I was just trying to give you back your wallet. My wallet? Then somehow they end up at another cafe, even though she was supposed to go to work. I don't know what the heck happened to that. I think she was trying to make it up to him, and she bought him muffins. And that was chapter 1. It was so stupid. I was all proud of this chapter cover. I used to draw these splash pages for all of my comics. Tears with muffins on the side. So clever. Look at these happy muffins. Take that, Shopkins. That was before that was a thing. Then I kept thinking every year I was going to enter that Tokyo Pop Rising Stars of Manga. And I never finished anything in time to submit it. And all you needed was 20 pages. But it was hard to come up with a story that would fit within 20 pages. I mean, basically it's like doing a one-shot to pitch your story. And then I always had this great dream that I was going to win. But then I would, oh, the story's not good enough. Or the story would become too big for 20 pages. And I didn't know how to put it into 20 pages. And let's not forget the fact that I just couldn't draw well enough to do the story. That's very important. But this was these characters were created for that project. And I was just drawing on printer paper. His name's Dante. He's a real skinny guy. Him and his brother Marion have a shop, a graphic design shop, and they sell t-shirts. Not like Jersey Shore at all. But he's out at the park. Everybody's out and about. And he left his sketchbook back at the office, so he has to go back and get it. But he's late anyway. I thought this was so cool of a panel when I did it. I'm like, look at how cool I am. And my emo guy with his skinny pants. I used to draw everybody with skinny pants. This running panel wasn't too bad. That shoe was kind of bad. Me drawing people running was just never a good thing. And then he made it back to the shop and slammed open the door. I used to like drawing his hair. It was like a mushroom. There was a lot of guys that had their hair like that at the time. It was in style. His brother is leaning on the counter. I didn't write a lot of the text in here, so I really don't know. I know he's doing some little cha-cha dance. I don't know why. They were making designs. They had to submit designs for something. I don't know. And he had a crush on this girl. Excuse me. Okay, my allergies are going crazy. I'm sorry. He had a crush on his coworker who was his best friend. Her name was Shondell. and she was plus size, and she was my first plus size character. I was so progressive. I really loved her. I loved drawing them together, but she had a boyfriend who was just a jerk doofus, and Dante was the guy in the friend zone that just always loved her. And I liked it because it was an interracial couple. I'm biracial, so that stuff always was important to me, and I was like, we need representation. And people do that now, but it's so funny because I used to do that before too, but I was always too afraid to share it with people. And so there's that. I just love them so much. I used to draw them all the time too. There's a couple pictures in that old sketchbook video that I put up. I don't really know what's happening. A lot of the pages of this are missing. There were seriously over 100 pages, and now I have 10, if that. So there was a long story. It was like she kept going back to her boyfriend, and he kept taking her back, and he just wanted to be with Dante, wanted to be with her, but she just wasn't interested. It's like the classic tale, but I feel like that was always my life. Every guy I always liked was always my friend, and I just felt a lot like this character. I resonated with him a lot. So anyway, then I had this other project called Wake Up, where this girl was in debt, working a job she hated, and she ended up she lost her job and got fired, and ended up just moping around, going on a walk through the city, and ran into some model scout, talent scout, what do you call those? I don't know. I don't do modeling. But anyway, he offered her a chance to be a model because somebody had walked out on the photo shoot and they needed somebody to wear these designs, and then the designer ended up falling madly in love with how she presented his designs, and she ended up becoming some famous model for this company. And then, but she was falling for the agent that got her, and he was like some wealthy bachelor that nobody could get. It was just some corny love story, but it's funny because there's mixed pages in here. This was like my last hoorah with this comic in 2009. I thought I was going to redo it and make it super great and do grayscale ink and all that crap. I did not, but anyway, I liked this attempt. The art was substantially better by this time. She woke up, she was late for work, rushing to get ready, looking for her keys. This was the very first version of this where gets fired from her job. This was from 7th grade again, when I thought I was this epic inker. I don't know. Oh, shoot. So it's kind of like, and then this was 2011. I have like cross generations of this story, I guess. That's how I look at it. It's like your art was at this stage, then it was at this stage, then it was at this stage. Or maybe this was 2009, because that's when I was inking with these Sharpies. 2009, and then this was like, I don't know, 2011. I always mix them up. I used to love this comic page though, and it was like, oh, have you ever wanted to fly away from all your bills and your problems and vices, and just wake up in a new life? And that was kind of the lead into the story. I thought I was deep. Anyway, that could have been really good, but it wasn't, because it never was. Then I had this project about this princess who was locked in a tower. She was basically highly protected. It was kind of like, I don't want to say like a reverse racism, but it kind of almost was. It was like, what if white people were the minority and they were enslaved and they were put to work in the land, and that's how this story was. And this little slave guy was in love with this princess that he could never get. But anyway, he was in love with this princess. And I did have text in here, so it's kind of fun to read through it. He's like looking at her through the window like a creeper. Some of my stuff, it would not fly today if it were, but it's fake, you know, it's fantasy. Isn't she just beautiful? And his friends with him. Yeah, real beautiful. She's a princess, for crying out loud. Aren't they all beautiful? Look, man, I know you love her and all, but seriously, don't you think this is taking things a bit far? I can't even see our village. They're like way up on the mountain to see into her castle. Like a bunch of creepers. This was all Sharpie and then ebony pencil. I really loved these. He's like, nope, you hopeless idiot. Did I mention that you're also pathetic? It's like, and this is the reason you've been skipping our labor duty? Yeah. He's like head over heels in love with this lady. They're whispering, that's why these are in dotted lines. If you were smart, instead of watching her all day, you'd find a way to use her to your advantage, you know? You could hold her hostage and demand our freedom as ransom. What? What are you saying? Don't tell me it's not ever crossed your mind. It hasn't. All I can think about is that hair, or our kids, or if she could ever even love someone like me. If it hasn't, something is wrong with you. His friend's just over him and his crazy infatuation. And she hears them, but I didn't write the text in the boxes. And they disappeared from the window. And they're hiding down here. Don't worry, I'm leaving now. This is stupid anyway. You're gonna blow our cover. She hears them. Suitors? What? She's a highly sought after princess, okay? Well, do it quietly at least. He's trying to get his friend out of there. Oh, I didn't ink this part. I wish I would have. And be careful, why don't you? Oh, shut up. I got up here, didn't I? And his friend's trying to go down. Then this guy loses his grip and starts to fall. And he grabs hold again and catches onto the ledge. Are you okay? Get out of here already. I can't read the writing that well. Then the princess is like looking at him with her hands on her fists because he's she climbed out the window and saw him. He's not whispering anymore. She clears her throat and he's like, oh my god, the princess is right in front of me. I always loved this panel. Could have been so great. He was busted. She says, boo. But princess, he's like saying stuff to her and telling her she doesn't understand. I can't read what she said to him. She's like, oh, he said, you don't understand. And she said, of course I understand. And he's like, princess? He's in shock. It's my dream come true. He's all excited. She goes to kiss him. His eyes open. She grabs his clothes. And she does this big judo throw and tosses him onto the floor. But I didn't ink this page. And I was so proud of it. Boom. That's him landing on the ground. Such great skills. Look at that wonky hand. His head, you can kind of tell what's supposed to be what. She like rips him in through the window and slams him down on the floor. There were more pages, but I don't know what happened to them. But this could have been a fun comic to read had I finished it. Like many of these other comics. This is probably my longest project that I worked on when I was in high school, and it was about this teacher. I don't know, my friend came up to me and she asked me if I wanted to draw a comic for her story, and I said, okay, sure, what's it about? And she said it's this guy who's a gangster and he's a teacher, but nobody knows that he's a gangster. And I don't know if it's probably based on a real. I didn't really watch anime, I'll be honest. I read manga, and I mostly read one-shot manga because I am not that invested in stories to keep reading them for volumes and volumes. I mean, I read like random volumes of Inuyasha and DBZ and stuff, but not anything. I mean, I wasn't a hardcore fan of any of that stuff. I just like to look at the pictures. And then mostly I didn't have the patience to follow a story for a super long time. I like something that's 1 to 3 volumes or 1 volume or even just a few chapters, and that's good enough for me. But it's kind of ironic because some of these stories I have are just massive, and it's like, I don't like to, I don't know, it's weird. Sometimes I can read a story like that. I did read a couple, I remember. Online, I would read pirated manga when I was younger. But I drew this so many times. It was crazy. This little girl was, well, she wasn't little. She was in high school. And she was on her way home from school, and she saw this blob in the alley, and she's running, and she's trying to sneak up because she thinks it's a cat. And I just like how I just had fun. To me, this was the most like manga. I drew this page so many times. Here it is again in pencil because I was going to fix it. And then she stumbles upon him. She's like, it's not a cat, it's a man. And he's just laying there looking so beautiful. She's trying to wake him up. Sir, are you okay? Are you alive? Obviously not okay. So she reaches in her bag to get her phone. She has no signal. Can't tell. And also, this was back in the day when people had brick phones and Blackberries, so that's what she had. Oh, and again, drew this page again. I did all my pages so many times because I was such a perfectionist and I kept thinking it wasn't good enough. And then this time I actually used like ink. She was shocked. She reaches in the backpack. She pulls out the phone. The phone is dead. If there's another one of these in here, I'm going to freak out. Anyway, here's him laying on the ground. He was all beat up, I guess. I don't know what happened. He had a run-in with some rival gang or something, and he got beat up and left for dead in the alley. And she's the one that stumbled upon him. And she had this great idea that she was just going to sit with him until he woke up. And she put his head up on books because she's so kind and compassionate. And she ended up falling asleep there in the alley right beside him. Totally logical. Then she got woken up because her phone finally did ring, and it was her parents yelling at her for not coming home. And where the heck is she? So then she goes home because that guy was just gone. I'm missing a page in between there. There was like 80 pages of this. It was pretty crazy. I can't believe I drew that much and didn't even keep it all. Then she was at home laying. Then she thought about that guy for a little bit. Like, oh, I hope he's okay. Whatever happened to him. Then the next day, she's getting ready for school. Brushing her teeth, putting on her clothes. Grabbing a piece of toast and running out the door. And she's riding her bike to school with her toast hanging out of her mouth. There's not any text on these pages or with these panels, so I can't tell you what they say. And then here are her best friends, and it was based off of me and my friend. I drew us into the comic. Thought that was kind of cute. She couldn't stop her bike, and we had to jump out of the way. Still couldn't stop, and then her best boyfriend guy stopped the bike with his hand. Terrible. I can't tell what's going on here, but anyway, they're like having their morning thing. I can't read my writing. He's pointing, let's go to class, whatever. Then they go to class, and there's their teacher with his long hair. It grew a lot overnight, apparently, because it's longer than it was when he was in the alley. They're arguing about why they're late. He doesn't care. They go sit down. They get in their seats. They're talking to each other. I can't tell what they're even saying. Oh, he's doing attendance. Here, present, here. Calls her name. Here. Then she starts to say here. And she realizes it's that guy, and it's like puts two and two together. This equals this, but what did I write here? This discovery should take place over a series of smaller panels. Me giving myself notes. I was like my own editor, so that's why I ended up drawing everything so many damn times. She stands up and points at him. You! Is there a problem, Miss G? Oh, I kept calling her G because I didn't know what to name her yet, and I just kept calling her G for girl, and her friend, that was the guy, was B for boy, and he was T for teacher. I didn't even have names. Oh, you're the guy from last night. He's like, what? Looking annoyed. I just liked his expression here. I can't wait to redraw this one day. I don't even know. It's probably a ripoff of something. I'm not going to do it because you know how you are when you're in high school. You just run with an idea. Like, okay, we're going to do it. And she's like, oh, you were in the alley and I saw you. You were hurt. I stayed with you all night. And her friend's like, what? What do you mean you stayed with him all night? That must be incorrect. But, Sensei, she asks him, he has a cut on his face, and she asks him how he got that cut and why he has a band-aid. She's all embarrassed in front of the whole class. And she's pointing to the cheek like, well, if you weren't there, then how'd you get this mark on your face? And he doesn't know how to answer her. He says he's quite clumsy. Changes the subject. And remembers, and he's thinking back, he has a flashback, he's thinking back on when he got mugged in the first place. And then her friend jumps in to save the day and end this whole thing. He's like, oh, Sensei. And, what? What are you doing? Just sit down. Forgive my friend. She's just saying a bunch of nonsense. I think she has you mistaken. Please forgive her, Sensei. And he's just like talking for her. She's squished in between his arms. This clown. Thank God. He's so happy that the friend jumped in and changed the subject. adjusts his glasses, then he gets ready to teach. These pages are so unfinished. Anyway, they start doing math, and it's so funny. This is my favorite panel ever. I want to just draw this page, honestly. She's like super confused in class looking at the problems. Doesn't know what's going on. Doesn't know any answers. That's how I felt in math class many times. Then he comes up to her and taps her on the shoulder, and he's like leaning over her. You can't tell. Leaning over her with his crazy emo guy hair. And then, this is so childish, but I used to draw stupid stuff in these panels. It was like, he was bent over her desk trying to help her with her problems, and all the girls are just swooning over him. You can't really tell because these pencil lines are so light. Her best friend's sitting beside her, and his butt is in his face, and then he's like making a face at the teacher's backside, like, who needs you, whatever, and then the teacher just farts in his face. Why? I don't know. Very immature. Then he's knocked out. KO. From the stench. I'm so childish. I don't know why I would put that in the comic, but I was having so much fun with this and just goofing off. It was ridiculous. Then it's lunchtime. They go to lunch. I don't know what's happening. They're gossiping. I can't read my own writing. Oh, they always try to put those two together, B and G, even though they like each other, but she likes that teacher. At least later on she does. They were racing somewhere, and somehow the slowest one of them won the race. I don't know what happened here, but the teacher came and kicked that dude in the head, and he dropped his soda. I don't know what they were doing. I was like just drawing anything. I just had so much fun making some of this stuff up. I don't even know what my change order of these panels, but the overall actions remain the same. I don't know why he kicked him in the head, but it was kind of funny. And then he was smoking because he was cool, bad teacher. If you pass the test, you can eat here as you please, and I'll quit smoking. I don't know why. I think they were eating at some place that wasn't for students, and he was trying to kick them out of there. Oh, shoot. Oh, and then here's him having a meeting with with some gangster guy. He's like looking down thoughtfully. He's telling him he wants out. It's like, is that so? You have to something, I don't know. He can't just quit. Anyway, basically he couldn't just quit. He's flicking away his cigarette. Then G runs into T, and they're headed back to class, and he walks by her, and then on the last page of the chapter, she's like looking over her shoulder at him, just thinking that he's hiding something. And wondering why he lied about being there. I don't know. This is so terrible. This chapter was fully inked before, but I threw the whole thing away and I drew it all over again because I was just so picky and fanatical at that time. This was 2010. I was still in high school. Me and my friend were writing this epic comic, or so I thought it was epic. That might even have been my junior year. I don't remember when I did it. I just know it was high school. And this was like my biggest project that I've been working on the longest since before junior high, but I don't have that many pages of it because, as always, I just get into these things where I make things and then I don't like them and then I redraw them and then I throw away everything, and I'm really trying not to do that anymore because I like to have this kind of chronicle of where I was and where I am now, so we're not doing that anymore no matter how ugly it gets. But anyway, this was about a guy named Demi. He originally started out as a bird person, but I've changed that since. But this was like my first comic page with him, and I just thought it was so clever. It's like he was obsessed with peaches. I don't know why. At the time, I just had so stupid, and all that stuff has changed since then. But anyway, this was like the birth of my first original character, my first comic with my original character. And then a few years later, I revamped the story. It was like about crossing different dimensions of Earth. I don't know. And they had this whole system of marriage. Everything was arranged marriages, which I'm keeping. I do like that. But my problem is the story was just all over the place. I couldn't decide if it was a drama or action or horror. I didn't know what it was. I was trying to beat everything that I loved about the mangas that I would read. But it was just doing too much, you know? It didn't have a central theme. But I did really like these pages. Then I rewrote the story, and again, I rewrote this story so many times, and even now I'm redoing it, but it's not anything like what it was. Just some things remain the same. These pages were actually on Bristol board. I remember I bought this Bien Fong Bristol from Dick Blick, and I just, oh my gosh, I thought I was just the real deal when I got that paper. They're arguing about something. He's arguing with him because he thinks that he's drinking too much, and he's supposed to be the ruler of the kingdom. This is his brother. This is Artemis. This is Theo. And Artemis is just drinking a lot and not really doing anything for the people. They're kind of in the middle of a civil war, which I kind of keeping all that the same with the newer thing. And then here I go again, getting real crazy detail with these stupid backgrounds. I don't know why I would always do this with stuff, and it made it so hard to keep redrawing it. I didn't really do computer editing or anything at that time. And I got mad at this page because I felt like I messed up this guy's face, and I thought the whole page was ruined. So instead of just correcting this guy's face and finishing the page, no. I said, let me redraw the whole page and ink it all over again. So I did like that whole tapestry again. I'm like, what the heck? Why do I keep doing that to myself? It was very detailed. Anyway, let's read some captions on here. This one actually has text. It says, Fiora said you were looking for me? Yes, our red one is in trouble. That's Demi. I must tend to him. What for? What do you do this time? Theo, really? This is hardly the time for that sort of behavior. Then what am I here for? You have to go and get her. What? By the same means we crossed over in times past, Theo. He's like, what? He's got to go across the barrier and get Demi's chosen, which is supposed to be his wife. Oh my god, here we go again. Here's me being a perfectionist. I hated this page. I redid the whole thing and inked it, and then I still didn't like it even after that, because then I messed up his face on this one. I was like, damn it. I just kept messing it up. It was never how I wanted it to be, and I was always so disappointed. And they look almost the same. Now imagine doing this. I didn't even have a light box or anything, so I literally had to redraw the whole page. It wasn't like I could just trace over it because this is so thick. But I am very proud of the inking styles. This was all pen and ink, and then I used ink and a brush to do the big black areas, and I would use white paint to do the highlights. So he's supposed to go get Hayden from the other side of the portal. Basically, she was cast out of their world when she was a baby. Her parents were killed, and she was cast out for her safety, because her parents were actually killed by I'm not going to say too much, but anyway, her parents got killed, and she was cast out for her safety into the regular Earth world as we know it, like modern times, and they live in kind of this ancient fantasy world. Don't ask me what the time period is. I don't know. And Demi was out there breaking the barrier and hurting himself. This is like a flashback to when they were children. I just always loved this page so much. How I did the trees. I did pen and ink. I was really big into cross-hatching and hatching. I still am, really, but this panel was never even finished. But I always loved it. And yet again, here's me with my interracial couples again. I always like doing that in my comics, so just because, again, I am mixed, so mixed people come about by having interracial relationships. I can't even tell what's happening here. Like, these were some crazy, messy panels, and I was following thumbnails, but I draw a lot different than that now. I mean, I start out the same with the foundation, but I draw more of the foundation at once. Instead of doing these stick figures, I do more of a block figure. Then at some point I decided to pick up and do a random scene from this comic, and I didn't finish it. I don't know what they're doing here. How are you feeling? Oh, this is like when she first wakes up. The breakfast is almost ready. Sounds good. And she's like, wait a minute, you're not my mom. She's talking to this lady, and that's as far as I got with that. I need to redo the story, but I just, again, it needs a central theme. If you don't have a central theme to the story, it just ends up being all over the place. And then if you don't know what the overall genre is, that doesn't help anything either. It's like, it starts out being a romance, and then it's like angst, drama, action, horror. It was too many things at once. I really need to pin that down and go from there. But the thing is, I don't write, I draw. This was some other weird story. This was the most recent unfinished comic project. It was like these mutant monster people, and that was normal in the world. Everybody was affected by radiation and chemicals in the water supply, so they all have these weird mutations. And they all wear gas masks because they can't breathe the air, and the mutated people can't breathe in the air because it's harmful to their lungs. I don't know, it was weird. I had these weird characters, and they always wore these masks, and this lady had like a mohawk, and their brother was Frankie, and he was like an amputee because he was so mutated. I don't even know if he was really amputated or if he just wasn't born with the limbs, but this was probably 2013, 2015 maybe, and I was doing a lot more inking with the brush, and I really, really like how these pages look. This was kind of more of that story. Oh, and she was basically like she was providing for her family. Maybe she wasn't a mutant because she was able to take that mask off. Anyway, she was like an escort, and she met this guy named Ricardo, or Eduardo, I mean. Eduardo, I love drawing him. And he's married, and she ends up being with him, and she's trying to, like, do all this. It's, I don't know, it's like a slice of life type of thing. She's just trying to provide for her family, but she's like a prostitute, basically. And when she first meets him, she has, like, all this crap on, a wig and stuff, and hiding her identity, and it was a weird story. Again, it didn't really go anywhere. I just ended up making those characters and drawing them randomly. And that's the end of this comic folder, I think. The rest of this stuff is just like swatch pages. Don't ask me why they're in here. Maybe there's a comic somewhere. Let's just take a peek. Oh, there is a comic page. That ain't it. Oh god, this is terrible. This is like a really old drawing from when I was probably 10 years old or something. Lady Illusion. I get teased about this all the time. No. These are just random pictures. This is something from 2009. I don't know what this is. 2003. Lady Dark Lips. Everybody was Lady something. Oh, here's a comic. Oh, this is something. Okay, I've kind of combined the gangster story with this story, and I'm not going to really talk about it, but basically there was an auction of people. They auctioned people off to basically for labor and to repay debts of other people. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. And this was, oh my gosh, those original characters that were trying those bras on, that was like a cover page for their original story. Oh, this is Pierce and Kira. These are old characters I made in high school. I don't know, they're going on a date. Unconfident girl getting her confidence boosted by this guy telling her she looks good. Dante and Shondell meeting at a party. It was like when they first met. This was a project that was more like a book, a storybook I wanted to do about reality and the dreamer. And they're very contrasting characters. This one is stark angles and black and white. And this was more like somebody that would be curvy and in color and able to see gray area. And it was kind of a reflection of things I was thinking about at the time. And I would draw them together. And I just like seeing them together. The reality figure is inspired by a lot of Aubrey Beardsley's early work. And everything was with the black and white and the lines and could be very angular at times. Anyway, so now you have seen a terrible tour of my unfinished comic projects. This is just a tip of the iceberg. I have way more stories than this, but these are the ones that I actually got some pages drawn out that I actually kept. It's funny sometimes. I like to just go back and laugh at all this stuff, but it makes me a little sad how many potential projects there are, how many could be finished by now had I stuck it out, and even how many I could still be working on. I mean, not that it's all said and done and over with, but I just hope this year will be the year that I actually go back and finish some of this stuff. So anyway, if you sat through all of this, thanks for watching. I hope you had a good laugh and maybe you're inspired to work on something of yours and finish it. And I wish you good luck. Thanks.